Imagine the peaceful suburbs of Maple Grove, Ohio, white picket fences, kids on bikes, the smell of fresh-cut grass, suddenly turning into a police state parody because one woman decided she was the queen of community standards. That's exactly what happened when I opened my door to two wannabe SWAT guys demanding my ID, like I just robbed a bank. Sir, HOA compliance enforcement. Failure to comply will result in immediate action. Immediate action? From a neighborhood book club with clipboards? I laughed in their faces. But what started as a joke turned into the most satisfying takedown of entitled HOA Karens you'll ever hear. And trust me, by the time the real cops showed up, the entire board was crying in their perfectly manicured lawns. You know that moment when you open your front door expecting a package, but instead two dudes in cheap black tactical vests are staring you down like you're public enemy number one? Sir, HOA compliance enforcement. Hand over your ID or face immediate penalties. Yeah, that was my Tuesday evening in Maple Grove, Ohio. I stood there in my slippers, pasta sauce still on my shirt, blinking at these mall cop cosplayers while the smell of garlic bread wafted out behind me. And the best part? Their shiny laminated badges literally said HOA Enforcement Division in Comic Sans. Comic Sans. Because nothing screams legitimate authority like a font your grandma uses for church bulletins. My name's Ryan Thompson. I'm the guy who just wanted to live quietly after a messy divorce. No drama, no committees, just me, my dog Max, and the occasional backyard barbecue that didn't require board approval. Maple Grove had always been that sleepy suburb where people minded their business. Then Patricia Patty Langford moved in 2 years ago and decided the whole street needed her personal brand of fascist feng shui. She formed the Maple Grove Homeowners Association almost overnight, complete with yard signs that read "Proud Member of a Harmonious Community," like it was a cult recruitment poster. I politely declined the membership packet 3 times. In writing. With a smiley face because I'm not a monster. That was my first mistake. Declining. In Patty's world, no was apparently a 4-letter word that meant, please harass me until I cry. It started small the way all HOA nightmares do. Like a slow poison ivy rash you ignore until it covers your entire life. The first week after I sent my thanks but no thanks note, my mailbox started vomiting pastel envelopes. Every single day. Monday. Dear valued neighbor, we'd love to welcome you to the family. Tuesday. A reminder that community participation strengthens property values. Wednesday. A handwritten card in loopy cursive that said, Ryan, we're all concerned about your isolation. Let's chat over coffee. By Friday they graduated to passive-aggressive guilt trips. Non-participation may inadvertently lower everyone else's home values. We know you wouldn't want that, would you? Oh, I wanted that. I wanted it so bad I framed the letter and hung it in my garage like modern art, titled Entitlement in 12-point Times New Roman. I stayed silent at first. I'm not the guy who yells at clouds. I'm the guy who quietly documents everything because I learned early that screaming just gives them ammo. So I smiled, waved at the neighbors, and kept my grass at exactly 4 inches because apparently that was the new holy decree. But inside, I was watching. Every envelope got scanned and dated. Every text from unknown numbers. We noticed you haven't responded to our community vision survey. Got screenshot. Patty and her little board of clipboard warriors had no idea they were building my case file one ridiculous letter at a time. Then came the day the fake officers showed up, and the comedy turned dark real fast. It was a Thursday right around dinner time. I heard the pounding before I even saw them through the peephole. 2 grown men in matching black polo shirts tucked into tactical pants, utility belts loaded with what looked like flashlights and zip ties, standing like they were about to raid a meth lab instead of a guy eating spaghetti. The taller one, let's call him Bob the Badge, puffed out his chest. Mr. Thompson, we're with HOA Compliance Enforcement. You've missed 3 mandatory orientation meetings. We need to verify your identity immediately. I cracked the door an inch. I'm not in the HOA, never signed anything. You have the wrong house. Bob's partner, let's call him Mike the Mini-Me, actually put his hand on his belt like he was about to draw a weapon. Denial of membership is not an exemption, sir. Our records show you as a resident. Failure to comply authorizes us to issue citations and, if necessary, detain for further questioning. Detain. In my own house. I almost choked on my own laughter. With what authority? The county sheriff? The FBI? Or did Patty just knight you with a Bed Bath & Beyond gift card? That's when the real satire kicked in. Bob pulled out his laminated badge, the one with the Smiling House logo and the words Authorized Enforcement Agent, printed in the same Comic Sans, and waved it like it was the Declaration of Independence. This is official HOA identification. Questioning it is grounds for immediate fine of $250. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, letting the absurdity marinate. So you're telling me 2 volunteers in Halloween costumes can just show up, demand my driver's license, and threaten to detain me because I won't pay dues to a club I never joined? That's adorable. Truly. Do you also sell Girl Scout cookies door to door while you're at it? They didn't like that. Mike actually took a step forward, voice dropping into what he probably practiced in the mirror as his intimidation tone. We're authorized to involve local authorities if you obstruct community standards. Hand over the ID, sir. I shut the door gently, locked it, and called the real police non-emergency line while they stood there pounding again. The dispatcher laughed so hard she had to catch her breath. Sir, those are not police. We'll send a unit to explain the difference. The officers never came that night, probably because they were too busy laughing in their squad car. But the damage was done. Patty had escalated from annoying letters to full-on impersonation theater, and I knew the show was just getting started. The next morning my Ring camera caught the entire encore performance. Bob and Mike were back at 7:12 a.m., taping a bright yellow final warning notice to my door that threatened enforcement measures including vehicle impoundment if I didn't attend the next mandatory meeting. I watched the footage 3 times, sipping coffee, feeling that slow burn of dark amusement mixed with genuine rage. These people weren't just power tripping. They were living in a fantasy where laminated paper gave them cop powers. And Patty? She was directing the whole circus from her throne on Elm Street, probably sipping her pumpkin spice latte, while telling the neighborhood Facebook group how certain residents are undermining our harmonious vision. That's when I started the real game. I didn't yell. I didn't confront. I observed. Every time one of Patty's minions walked past my house with a clipboard, I noted the time. Every new notice got photographed with timestamp. I even started leaving my Ring camera on 24/7, because I had a feeling these clowns were about to give me enough evidence to bury them. And they did. Oh, they absolutely did. Week 3 of the siege brought daily visits. Sometimes they just stood on my porch staring at the door like it owed them money. Other times they'd whisper into walkie-talkies that were clearly Dollar Tree specials. The neighbors started noticing. Old Mrs. Henderson across the street actually called me one afternoon, whispering like we were in a spy movie. Ryan dear, I saw those 2 men measuring your grass again. They said something about aesthetic violations. Are you okay? I told her I was fine. I didn't tell her I was building a legal nuke in my dining room. Then the fines started arriving, printed on official-looking letterhead that probably cost Patty $19.99 at Office Depot. $75 for non-participation in community integration. $150 for failure to display approved HOA window decal. My personal favorite, $250 for unauthorized emotional detachment from neighborhood values. Emotional detachment. I framed that one too. But the real gut punch came when they started spreading rumors. Suddenly the neighborhood group chat was full of vague posts about a certain resident on Maple Lane who refuses to support our shared future. Patty herself commented under a fake account. It's sad when one bad apple threatens everyone's property values. We all know who I mean. They were slandering me as the bitter divorce guy who hated community, the loner who was single-handedly tanking home prices. I watched the comments roll in. Maybe he should just move if he doesn't like rules. People like that ruin neighborhoods. The quiet guy who shoveled snow for elderly neighbors without being asked was now the neighborhood villain. Classic Karen move. Turn public opinion against you before you can even defend yourself. I still didn't react. I just kept recording. Because I knew the bigger the lie, the harder they'd fall when the truth dropped. And the truth was about to drop like a grand piano on their perfectly coiffed heads. The towing was the moment everything went from annoying sitcom to full-blown horror comedy. It was a Saturday morning. I'd parked my trusty Honda in my own driveway the night before. Legally, privately, not blocking a single soul. I walked outside with my coffee and empty space. Just tire marks and a bright yellow toe slip fluttering on my front door like a victory flag from hell. Vehicle removed for repeated HOA parking violations. Overnight presence in driveway violates community aesthetic standards. Aesthetic standards. My car was apparently too divorced dad gray for their color palette. I called the tow company. The guy on the phone sounded exhausted. Yeah, we got another call from that HOA lady. She said it was authorized. Authorized. That magic word again. I drove to the yard with a friend, and the attendant actually apologized. Look man, we've towed 3 cars from driveways this month because of her. I feel dirty doing it. He waived the fee after seeing my evidence. Even the tow guy had more integrity than the entire Maple Grove HOA board. That night I sat at my dining table surrounded by stacks of notices, ring footage, and county records proving the HOA had never been mandatory on my block. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm. The kind of calm that comes right before you drop the hammer. Patty and her fake cops had slandered me, harassed me, impersonated authority, and stolen my property. They thought they were untouchable. They thought the quiet guy would just roll over. They were wrong. I picked up the phone and called my old college buddy who's now a shark of a real estate attorney. Hey Mike. Remember those HOA horror stories we used to laugh about? Yeah, I need you to make one of them cry. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in quiet, calculated patience. While Patty was out there telling everyone I was anti-community and a threat to property values, I was turning her own stupidity into legal dynamite. My attorney Mike came over with a bottle of decent bourbon, and we spread everything across the table like we were planning D-Day. Every single pastel envelope, every time-stamped ring video of Bob and Mike doing their little intimidation dance. The tow receipt. The county clerk's stamped letter proving my property had 0 HOA covenants attached. Even screenshots of the Facebook smear campaign where Patty's sock puppet account called me the cancer of Maple Grove. Mike read one of the fines out loud, the one about emotional detachment, and actually snorted bourbon through his nose. Ryan, this isn't an HOA, this is performance art by a woman who peaked in middle school student council. He drafted the cease and desist that night. 15 pages of beautiful, terrifying legalese citing everything from criminal impersonation statutes to civil harassment to the fact that towing a vehicle from a private driveway without court order is basically grand theft auto with extra steps. We sent it certified mail, email, and Mike personally walked a copy up to Patty's perfect colonial and handed it to her while she was watering her roses. The look on her face, according to Mike, was the exact moment a balloon animal realizes it's about to pop. I still didn't say a word publicly. I waved at neighbors. I mowed my lawn at the exact approved height. I let the tension build like a pressure cooker while Patty's empire started cracking. The fake officers showed up one more time, pounding on my door at 9 p.m. like they were auditioning for a bad cop show. Bob was yelling through the door. Mr. Thompson, the cease and desist is a joke. You're still required to comply or we'll escalate. I just hit record on the ring and let them dig their own grave deeper. The footage of them threatening escalation, while waving those Comic Sans badges, would look beautiful in court. Meanwhile, the neighborhood was starting to whisper for real. Mrs. Henderson brought over cookies and quietly admitted Patty had fined her $100 for excessive bird feeder activity. Excessive bird feeders. Another neighbor, quiet Mr. Patel, confessed they'd threatened to lien his house if he didn't repaint his shutters the exact HOA-approved beige. The stories poured in once people realized I wasn't the villain. I was just the first one who'd said no out loud. But I kept my mouth shut. Let them talk. Let the fear spread through Patty's little kingdom like cracks in cheap foundation. Then came the night I knew we had them. My Ring camera caught Bob and Mike sneaking around my backyard at 11:47 p.m. Yes, actual trespassing. Shining flashlights through my windows like they were hunting for evidence of what? Unapproved throw pillows? I sent the clip to Mike with the caption Felony Exhibit A. He replied with 3 laughing emojis and, "We're filing the police report tomorrow. Get ready for fireworks." The police report was beautiful. I walked into the station with my banker's box of evidence and laid it out like a prosecutor on TV. The sergeant watched the trespassing footage, then the badge-waving videos, then the tow receipt and just leaned back in his chair. Jesus! These people watch too many cop shows and not enough reality. He took everything. Fingerprints on the laminated badges. Statements. The whole 9 yards. They promised a detective would visit the HOA board within 48 hours. I went home and waited. Patiently. The way you wait when you know the other side is about to step on a landmine they built themselves. The explosion happened on a Wednesday evening during the monthly Harmony meeting Patty held in her backyard, like it was the United Nations of lawn care. I wasn't invited, obviously, but my new best friend Mrs. Henderson live texted me the entire thing from behind her hydrangeas. Patty was mid-speech about reclaiming our neighborhood from negative influences, when 2 real police cruisers rolled up, lights flashing but sirens off. The kind of arrival that makes everyone's butthole pucker simultaneously. Bob and Mike were there, still in their tactical cosplay, standing behind Patty like her personal honor guard. When the real officers stepped out, badges gleaming, guns actually real, the color drained from Patty's face so fast I'm surprised she didn't faint into the punch bowl. The lead detective held up a folder. "Patricia Langford, we need to speak with your enforcement team regarding multiple felonies." Bob tried to puff up again. "This is an HOA matter. You have no jurisdiction here." The detective actually laughed. A short, sharp bark that cut through the suburban silence like a chainsaw. "Son, impersonating a police officer is a felony in this state. So is trespassing, harassment, and ordering an illegal tow. You two are coming with us." The cuffs came out. Actual metal ones, not zip ties from Home Depot. Bob started sputtering about community standards, while Mike just looked like he wanted to melt into the perfectly edged lawn. Patty tried to intervene. "This is a misunderstanding. We were only protecting property values." But the detective shut her down cold. "Ma'am, you authorized illegal actions against a non-member. That makes you an accessory. We'll be speaking with the entire board." Neighbors started filming on their phones. Someone yelled about "damn time" from across the street. Mrs. Henderson sent me a video of the whole thing with the caption, "Popcorn emoji times 1 million. I watched from my living room, Max the dog snoring on my feet, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Pure, unfiltered satisfaction. The woman who'd slandered me as the neighborhood cancer was now watching her 2 fake cops get stuffed into the back of a cruiser, while the whole street watched. But the real show wasn't over yet. The detective turned to Patty and said the words that would echo through Maple Grove for years. "We're also opening an investigation into extortion, defamation, and possible fraud regarding HOA funds used for those ridiculous uniforms. Don't leave town." The aftermath hit faster than a suburban scandal usually does. By morning, the neighborhood Facebook group had exploded. Someone posted the arrest video. It already had 3,000 views in a town of 8,000 people. Comments poured in. "I got fined $75 for having Christmas lights up 1 extra day. They told me my American flag was the wrong shade of red. I quit this cult yesterday." Within 48 hours, nearly half the members had officially withdrawn. People were literally ripping the proud member yard signs out of their grass and stacking them like kindling on the curb. Patty tried one last desperate move. She called an emergency board meeting and sent out a mass email claiming it was all a miscommunication and overzealous volunteers. Nobody showed up except her treasurer, who reportedly quit on the spot and told her, "I'm not going to jail for your ego, Patricia." The treasurer's husband later told me she'd been crying in her car for 20 minutes. I never gloated publicly. I didn't need to. The county prosecutor sent Patty a very polite letter explaining that if any more enforcement actions occurred against non-members, she'd be looking at real charges. The fake badges were confiscated as evidence. The tow company issued a public apology and refunded every single illegal tow they'd done on Patty's orders. And just like that, the Maple Grove Homeowners Association, the mighty empire of pastel envelopes and Comic Sans tyranny, quietly dissolved itself 2 weeks later. Patty took her perfectly manicured lawn and moved to a 55-plus community in Florida where, rumor has it, she's already trying to start a new one. Good luck to those retirees. My street changed after that. People started talking to each other again instead of reporting each other for minor infractions. Mrs. Henderson's bird feeders multiplied like rabbits. Mr. Patel painted his shutters whatever color he damn well pleased. And me? I finally put up that American flag I'd been afraid to fly because it wasn't on the approved list. It waves every single day now, the right shade of red, the right height, the right everything, because nobody gets to tell me otherwise. The quiet guy who just wanted peace ended up teaching the whole neighborhood a lesson about fake authority. It only works until someone refuses to play along. I never raised my voice. I never posted a single angry comment. I just collected the truth, waited, and let their own ridiculousness destroy them. Darkly funny, isn't it? The woman who spent months calling me the cancer of Maple Grove ended up being the one who poisoned the entire community with her own greed for control. Now when I sit on my porch with Max and watch the kids ride bikes without fear of a clipboard ambush, I feel something deeper than peace. I feel the satisfaction of watching bullies realize the game was rigged against them the whole time. Because here's the truth they never want you to know. HOAs only have power when you give it to them. The second you stop playing their game, their little laminated empire crumbles like cheap drywall. So let me ask you the question that's been burning in my mind since the cuffs clicked shut on those two clowns. Was I wrong for simply saying no to a voluntary club that turned into a neighborhood dictatorship? Or was the real crime the moment Patty Langford decided her personal vision of harmony gave her the right to harass, slander, impersonate, and steal from people who just wanted to be left alone? Drop your thoughts below. Especially if you've ever dealt with an HOA Karen who thought her clipboard made her God. Because the more we talk about it, the less power these clowns have. And if this story made you laugh, rage, and cheer all at the same time, well, that's exactly what justice tastes like when the quiet guy finally wins. See you in the next one. Stay free out there.